Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornblut, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
These things can be cyclical, and, we just got to turn around. We understand the reality. The reality is we've lost 5 in a row, and nobody happy about it. We know why. We know what we got to do to turn that around, but we got to go do it.
Forward to seeing what happens this year. Neither one of us are going to win our conferences or our divisions, so it's obviously the biggest game for both teams. I would think.
Well, all the talking is done as far as the combatants set to take the field at Death Valley tomorrow. There's nothing else you can say. There's nothing else you can do. If you're a Gamecock or a Tiger, if you're a coach, you're a player, you're a manager, all you want to do now is eat well, get a good night's sleep, be ready to rock and roll tomorrow at noon at the Valley. I think it's going to be a terrific game. It's a game really where it's hard to pick a winner and feel like you got the right choice. I could see Clemson winning. I could see USC winning. I see things that could happen either way to benefit the teams. So that's what I think adds to the drama of tomorrow, because there is no absolute clear-cut favorite going in. We got a great show for you tonight here on Sports Talk. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and thank you for joining us here on Sports Talk from downtown Columbia Main Street. Phil Kornblut, Kevin McCrary, Professor Tom Hayes at your service. Want to dive into your calls here early on. And I want to run through as many predictions as possible. 800-956-7266. Go ahead and jump on the board. We'll open the express lane up tonight in the first half hour in particular. Then we'll have the governors with us to get their thoughts. We'll have David Shelton with us to talk high school football. Congratulations to Dylan. Dylan wins the 2A Division I championship this afternoon. That's 3 in a row for the Wildcats. Congratulations to Hunter Kiner Tyler. They win the 1A Division II championship for the second year in a row. And just getting underway, we have the 2A Division II state championship game over at River Bluff, and we'll keep you up to date on that. So we've got a great show for you, but you can make it even better. Want to take as many calls and as many can tonight as we head into the big game. Guys, how are you feeling on game eve?
Well, it's interesting. I guess misery loves company. I'm almost have the feeling that the fans are more hyped up for this game than they were when both teams were ranked in the top 10 for whatever reason.
Well, Clemson fans are definitely hyped up for it. And with Deshaun Watson listed as probable today, I think fans on the Clemson side really believe if he's healthy, or even a semblance of what he's been when he's been on the field healthy, that the Tigers are going to snap that streak and beat South Carolina.
And, of course, the side story, Chad Morris reports out of Texas that he is going to be the new coach at SMU. I don't think that affects Clemson
I don't think so either.
No. It just affects his bank account.
Because of the Clemson offense. It's not Chad Morris.
Well, it might affect them long term, but in the short term tomorrow, no, it will not affect them at all.
right, we're all pumped up about what's going on. High school state championships, college football today, and, of course, the big rivalry day tomorrow. I mean, to me, you can have your national championship semifinal games, and you can have your national championship game. That's all well and good. There's nothing better than rivalry Saturday, a little bit of rivalry Friday mixed in, but these games will be played all over the country tomorrow. That's the essence of college football. All right, the championships are fine. National championships, great. But the essence, what makes college football alive 365 days a year is that backyard battle, the Palmetto Bowl, the Civil War, the Iron Bowl, whatever you want to term it. That is what keeps college football at the top of the list.
It only works when it's at the end of the season, too, because let's face it, we've had so many twists and turns in this season for both South Carolina and Clemson. South Carolina went, look, South Carolina's defense is horrible. Clemson's going, we're going to win in a walk. And then that fateful day, South Carolina's in Florida, Clemson's at Georgia Tech, and the whole script flipped again. So it's interesting how keeping that game at the end of the season worked so well. Louisville and Kentucky, take note.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an even greater rivalry now that they've moved that game to the end of the season, and it gives Kentucky a natural end of the year in-state rivalry game now that Louisville is in the ACC. Of course, they've been playing, but now I think adds a little something else to it. All right, updating the scores quickly and then to your phone calls. Missouri is leading Arkansas 21-14, just forced an Arkansas turnover, about 2 minutes to go. So Missouri is 2 minutes away from clinching the East again and going to the SEC championship game. Arizona leading Arizona State 35-28. That's early fourth quarter. Stanford hammering UCLA 31-10. That's in the fourth quarter. In overtime, it was Western Kentucky beating Marshall 67-66. And we are talking football here. Those are the games from today. The high school games, let me tell you about what happened there. And then we'll get to your phone calls. In the 2A Division I game, Dillon and Newberry. Dillon wins at 49-27. The Wildcats' third straight championship, fifth in 7 years for Jackie Hayes. Newberry returned the opening kickoff for a score. Then Dillon scored on 4 possessions, unanswered scores to go up 28-7. Then it was back and forth from there, and Dillon cruises on to the win. Avery McCall was his normal self. He was 15 of 27, 230 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Dillon finishes 14-0, their first undefeated season in school history. Hunter Conard Tyler, back-to-back state championships for the Trojans. They defeat Lakeview 42-28 and finish 13-2. And the Trojans jumped out to a 20-6 lead, and they went on from there to the victory. So congratulations to HKT. We'll hear from the winning head coaches a little bit later on. David Shelton will join us as well. And C.R. Cumbie is at Ridgeview High School to take in the second game of the day over there. That is the 2A Division II matchup, and that has got Keenan going up against
Timberland.
Keenan and Timberland. Thank you. I forgot who the opponent was. Keenan and Timberland. In that HKT game, by the way, Jarius Jenkins, 132 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns for HKT. All right. And, of course, the other big story coming out of Texas that Chad Morris is going to SMU as a new head coach. This is being primarily reported by HornsDigest.com. That's Chip Brown out there. He's reporting that he'll be paid more than an average of $3 million per year. He's citing a source last night. He said the announcement of the hire is expected next week. It will also include new academic support for athletics at SMU. And Clemson will allow Morris to begin recruiting for SMU starting next week, the source said. Well, I mean, if this is all true, I expect him to be at SMU and working for SMU early next week. It's got nothing to do with Clemson allowing him to recruit. I can't see he's not staying on for the bowl game at Clemson by any means. It says here Morris was offered the job at least 2 weeks ago, and he wanted to wait and see if Dabo Swinney got the Florida job because Morris would likely be a candidate to replace Swinney at Clemson. He writes here, this guy, Chip Brown, Florida's flirtation with Sweeney that apparently nobody else has noticed. Clemson apparently is offering Sweeney some sweetness to what he writes as a 10-year contract signed in January, but I think it was only an 8-year contract, wasn't it? Don't think they gave him 10 years. I think it was 8 years. Yeah, so a little bit off on that. So anyway, that's the story on that. Believe what you want to believe. Certainly looks like Chad Morris is headed to SMU. By the way, Texas A&M fired their defensive coordinator today, Mark Snyder. They finished last in the SEC in defense. And USC women's soccer in the NCAA quarterfinal loses at Florida State 5-0. And Missouri has now gone final 21-14. They win the East again.
They won the East, but let me tell you what happened. 3 plays before the game ended, they handed the ball off to their best running back, Russell Hansbrough, and he had to be carted off. They don't know whether it's a hamstring or a knee, but he couldn't even celebrate with the players because they had to cart him off. That's interesting.
One more thing. The line came back on USC Clemson has gone up
to 6.
Up to 6.
Yeah, 5.5, 6, depending on your book, but definitely has opened at 4.5, then dropped down to about 3, now up to around 6.
All right, to the phones we go, and let's get your quick thoughts, your quick picks on the big game tomorrow. 800-956-7266. Let's begin with Dave in Ward. Hi, Dave. How are you?
Hey, how you all doing?
Doing great. Doing great. Good to have you with us.
Oh, thank you. Well, I've just got a quick comment. Gamecocks 34-20 because the Gamecocks actually had a head coach instead of a head cheerleader. That's all I got to say.
All right, 34-20. I do think Spurrier will have a terrific game plan for tomorrow, and in his typical style, he'll call a good game. Executing the calls will be upon the players. He'll be at the top of his game, I'm sure, which will make it an even more interesting matchup between Spurrier going up against Venables from an offensive-defensive standpoint.
Do you see Auburn, the sequel, pulling out all the stops like he did at Auburn?
Don't see why not.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to leave anything on the table.
Mm-hmm. Let's go back to the phones. Joseph up in Fort Mill. Welcome into Sports Talk tonight. How are you?
Hey, guys. Thank you for taking my call.
Certainly. Good to have you with us.
I'll be quick. I just want to give Clemson credit on defense for their good season and their top-ranked defense. However, I believe that Gamecocks will end up on top 38-17 when the SEC defensive line and offensive line starts to kick in the third quarter. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of Gamecock fans over the years have felt that playing that SEC schedule has better prepared South Carolina for this game, especially as they've gotten better talent. But going up against SEC teams week in and week out, they feel like that's better prepared the Gamecocks. I don't know. Probably so. It certainly has made them tougher and more physical in some ways because, when you face a good Tennessee team, you face a good Florida team, you face Auburn. I'm saying in some years when those teams are good and you play them, that kind of collection of teams, it's got to make you a tougher, better team if you have the time to step up and match those other teams. So that seems to be the thinking. I don't know. I think tomorrow Clemson's defense is going to be very physical. I expect them to really try to get in on Dylan Thompson and rough him up if they can, make him uncomfortable in the pocket. Dylan has shown at times that when flushed, especially to his left, he'll make a mistake. He'll throw the interception. If you leave him back there and let him become comfortable, he can pick you apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Clemson has the defensive line to get pressure with that front four. And I think that is going to be the key. And Grady Jarrett right up the middle, that no quarterback likes pressure right in his face. And Clemson has a defense where they can do that. And I do think it's going to come down to Dylan Thompson protecting the football, not making that silly pass that's cost them in some of those tight games.
All right, lines have opened up. What do you think? Give us a score, 800-956-7266. You can jump right in on Sports Talk in a moment. right, Timberland's taking the early 7-0 lead in the Division 2A state championship game over at River Bluff High School. That game just getting underway against Keenan, Timberland and Keenan. And Timberland on the board first on top 7-0. I was over at the Dillon and Newberry game this afternoon. First of all, what a unbelievable school and football facility they have at River Bluff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what it cost to build that place, but any high school football facility with a nice press box that has elevators, not just one. I think they had more than one. Have elevators going up to their press box and their Gator Suite, as they called it. I was pretty impressed. So great facility, has an artificial surface, big scoreboard with the replay capability, and big crowd. They said it holds about 7,500, and it looked like about 7,500, maybe 8,000 there. Of course, the only negative was getting in and getting out. Wasn't too bad getting out. Of course, I left well after the game because I had to do post-game work. Coming in on I-20 from the east, which is where Dillon would be coming from, and actually Newberry as well, because they would have come in on 26 and then gotten on 20 west. And it was backed up on I-20 a good mile or so from the Lexington exit, an hour before game time, maybe 45 minutes as I was getting in the area. But eventually it moved in, and we got in place and got in there for the ball game. But a beautiful, beautiful facility, and great place to hold a championship football game.
Mm-hmm.
So Dillon wins, and HKT has won, and Timberland is out front. 800-956-7266 is our number. Coming up after the bottom of the hour break, we'll have the governors with us. Governor Beasley, Governor Hodges. We'll hear what they have to say about USC and Clemson and other rivalry games coming up. Well, there's one tonight we'll talk about. That's Virginia Tech. They're playing tonight. And then, of course, the multitude of games tomorrow. We'll get their picks. David Shelton will join us. He was over at the 1A game today. Of course, there was only one 1A game because the other 1A game is being held hostage while they investigate whether or not Bamberg Earhart had an ineligible player this year. That remains in limbo until the first part of next week. But David will join us to talk about the game he saw. And also, don't forget, you've got state semifinals tonight in classes 4A and 3A. So much more high school football around the state tonight as well. We'll also take more of your calls, 800-956-7266. You can also email us. We'll run through the email address is talkback@sportstalksc.com, and on Twitter. A lot of comments there today, of course. That is @sportstalksc. Arizona State gone final?
No, it was a 14-point lead for Arizona. Michigan, drink deep your sins. Got rid of a guy too quickly. Rich Rod is in the Pac-12 championship game, and you will be drubbed by Ohio State tomorrow.
And looking for another coach, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we are back on Sports Talk. It's that time of the week, heading into the biggest Saturday of the year, at least in the regular season for college football. But to me, in my eyes and mind, the biggest Saturday of the year, period. It's Clemson, Carolina, Carolina, Clemson, however you want to cut it. It's going to be a great day, loads of fun, and should be a terrific ball game. It's time for another edition of the Football Filibuster. We welcome in to a Sports Talk, arguably two of the greatest governors in the history of the great state of South Carolina. Some might say two of the biggest turkeys in the history of the state of South Carolina. Coming off Thanksgiving, I was just sort of trying to tie in the holiday. I'm not saying that. I'm saying some of their political adversaries on both sides might say that. We welcome in Governor David Beasley. How are you, sir?
Well, I was doing pretty good. I started listening to all your bull crap, but
Governor Hodges, I hope we have a much warmer response from you.
You call us fake turkeys and you expect us to be nice?
I didn't say I was calling you turkeys. I'm saying your political adversaries would call you that. Anyway, I hope that both
that was all made up. Jim, I think we still ought to have a few friends we can call a bunch of maybe pull them going down the highway. Something we could be able to do with the car. I mean, what do you think?
He better watch himself tonight as he's heading up.
Your friends in the highway patrol, I know many of them personally, to be quite honest with you.
I bet you don't know them as good as my wife knows them.
Well, I hope the two of you had a great holiday and are looking forward to having a very good picking session today. Both of you did well last week. Governor Beasley, very nice, 6-4. You're 59-71 against the spread. Governor Hodges, 6-4, 67-63. So, Governor Beasley, you still got your work cut out for you.
It's going to be a tough day, especially on this spread we got going on for this Saturday. Great day.
That's correct. In fact, I'm going to make a little change for you guys because the spread has gone up to 6. So keep that in mind when we get to that game. Clemson is now a 6-point favorite, okay? So keep that.
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
That line has gone up, so keep it in mind when we get
Watson now probably the reason why that line has gone up.
Yeah. All right, so let's get at it. Governor Beasley, we'll let you lead us tonight through the first 5 picks, and we'll begin with Wake Forest at Duke. Duke coming off a bad loss to North Carolina, still favored by 19 against the Demon Deacons. What do you think?
Well, that's a lot of points, but I think I'll go with the Demon Deacons on that many points, even though it is at Duke.
Governor Hodges?
I'm going to take Duke. They're going to take out on the Demon Deacons what UNC did to them last week. So I'll take Duke.
Could see that. Sticking in the Tar Heel state, NC State at North Carolina. Tar Heels favored by 6.5. Governor Beasley.
Well, North Carolina seems to be putting it together a little bit. I will go with the Tar Heels on this one.
All right, you got them. You want them, you got them. Governor Hodges.
Yeah, I'm with the Heels as well. State plays pretty poorly on the road, and UNC seems to be rolling. So the Heels.
Governor Hodges sounds like he's done his homework this time. Virginia at Virginia Tech. I think that game's tonight, about an 8 o'clock kickoff, so we can use it. And the Hokies are getting 1 at home. Virginia just giving their coach new life for next year. What do you think, Governor Beasley?
I think they're going to need more than 1 point, so I'm going with Virginia.
You want Virginia? Oh, okay. On the road in Blacksburg. Governor Hodges.
I'm with him. I'm with David on this. I think this could be this could be it for Beamer too if they lose this game. So I'm going to take Virginia.
Okay, to the Iron Bowl. No way, absolutely no way it can match the drama of last year. I mean, that'll never be topped. But they could still have an excellent ball game. Auburn at Alabama, and Alabama's favored by 9. Governor Beasley, I know you always love picking this game.
Oh, my gosh. I was having lunch Thanksgiving with Mary Wood's family in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. In fact, we're on the way back right now, and her family is split down the middle, and they were just going at it all day yesterday. Her house is literally 1 mile from the stadium. People were already beginning to tailgate, set up the tents. So the bottom line is, I don't know which one to pick here, but I'm going to pick Auburn because of the 9 points.
You want Auburn, and you're picking against Alabama.
I will pick against Alabama because Marywood's dad's Auburn. She's Alabama. It's a split decision, but I think Auburn's going to be within 9.
Going with the father-in-law.
Likes the points.
Governor Hodges, what do you think? Not quite as complicated from your standpoint.
No, look, Auburn made the mistake of embarrassing Nick Saban last year, and he's going to take it out on them this year. So Bama is going to run up the score on them, and they're going to beat them by at least 14.
All right, one more for you to lead us with, Governor Beasley. It's a dandy. Tennessee at Vanderbilt. Vandy getting 17 home.
I think 17 points will be enough for them. So I'm going to pick Vandy with the points and the home field advantage.
All right. Governor Hodges?
I just think Vandy's so bad, I'm going to take Tennessee.
Yeah, they're really bad. They're really
they
bad.
are bad. I got to pick up a game or two somewhere.
I know.
Get some luck somewhere.
I'm not sure it's going to happen there. All right, Governor Hodges, you lead us now to the Egg Bowl. Mississippi State at Ole Miss. Ole Miss hoping to scramble Mississippi State's playoff hopes, and they're getting 2.5 at home.
I'm going to take Mississippi State. Ole Miss didn't look really good last week, and State's got more to play for here. So I will take the Bulldogs.
Governor Beasley?
I'm with Governor Hodges on this one. I think Mississippi State, I think that's just going to be their game.
You like the Bulldogs, both of you. All right. How about down in the state of Florida? Florida at Florida State. They don't really have a nickname for their game, do they? Florida at Florida State. They usually call it something for the national championship, but not this year. Florida State favored by 7.5 in Tallahassee. Governor Hodges.
I'm going to take Florida in this game, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say Florida is going to upset Florida State.
Wow. What? Based on what?
Muschamp's last game, Florida State has played so many placements the whole year. I just think Florida's going to win this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly think that I'm going to take the points from Florida.
Sure. Governor Beasley.
I'm with Governor Hodges on this one. I believe that 7.5 points, Florida State is all over the map. I think Florida's got their act together, and I think they're going to take it to them. I really do.
All right.
So Florida.
The Commonwealth rivalry, Kentucky at Louisville. Louisville favored by 13.5. Governor Hodges.
Well, Kentucky's falling apart, so I'm going to take Louisville.
Mm-hmm. Governor Beasley?
Governor Hodges is right. But this might be one that I can pick up something. I think Kentucky might have it enough together to not lose by more than 14. So I'm going to go with Kentucky.
Kentucky. All right. Over in the Peach State, Georgia Tech at Georgia, and Georgia laying 12.5. Governor Hodges.
Oh, too many points. I'm going to take Georgia Tech. I think that they'll keep it under 10. So Tech.
Tech it is. Governor Beasley?
Well, I was thinking about the same thing as Governor Hodges was, but this was another one that I think this could be a close game regardless. I'm going to go with Georgia so I can have a little bit of difference here, maybe pick up a game as well. So Georgia, Bulldogs.
All right, very good. And to the Palmetto Bowl, USC at Clemson. Governor Hodges, it's the Gamecocks, and they're getting 6 on the road in the Valley.
Well, I'm going to go with the Gamecocks for 2 reasons. One is I think we have played a tougher schedule and are starting to put it together. And then the second reason is because I'm a shameless homer for the Gamecocks.
We know this. You don't have to explain. Governor Beasley, what do you think?
I think I just don't want to think about this game.
But you must.
6 points. I was go pick 6 points is a lot of doggone points. Well, what's the status of Watson? Is he gonna play tomorrow or not?
Yes, he's probable.
Well, that's not a sure thing. I haven't heard today for certain. That's a big impact. I'm with. I really think Gamecocks is the way to go, but I gotta get some spread, so I'll go with Clemson. That's probably not where the money is, but that's where I need to pick up a game.
And that's where your heart is. We know that. We know that's where the heart is. Guys, we thank you so much as always. Have yourselves a great weekend. Enjoy the game. We'll get back with you next week. That's the Football Filibuster. Back in a moment. All right. Thanks to the Governors, as always, for being with us here on Sports Talk. Lines are open. Want to get your picks, 800-956-7266. 21-0 Timberland leading Keenan in the second quarter, 2A Division II championship. All right. Here are the picks of the esteemed Sports Talk panel. By the way, last week, the cream rises to the top. The Corn, 8-2 last week. And I soar into a tie for first with Matt the Newsman, who went 7-3. We're both 65-65 against the spread. Steak Man, you went 4-6 last week. You're 61-69. K-Mac, a 4-6 week for you. You're still in the basement, 60-70. And Pro, you were 3-7 last week, so you're 64-66. You're in second place by a game. So here's what we've got this week from the bottom up. Matt the Newsman is the only one taking Wake and the 19. We all picked North Carolina. I am the only one to take Virginia Tech at home, getting a point. Auburn, Alabama. 3 of us took Auburn. Me, K-Mac, and Matt the Newsman. Tennessee, Vandy. Only K-Mac took Vandy. Oh, my gosh. That's a panic move there.
Hey, you know what? They're playing at home, last game of the season. Derek Mason is going to have them ready to play.
They stink.
Well, Tennessee's not exactly a juggernaut.
They can score. Mississippi State. We all took Mississippi State, laying 2.5 at Ole Miss. K-Mac and State Man took Florida. The rest of us took Florida State. We all took Louisville, laying the 13.5. I took Georgia Tech. Matt the Newsman took Georgia Tech. I like getting the 12.5 in Georgia Tech. And South Carolina, Clemson. Pro took Clemson. K-Mac took Clemson. Matt the Newsman took Clemson. Steak Man took USC in the points. I think Clemson wins, but I took USC and the points. See, I think Clemson's going to win by like 3 or so. So I'm taking the 4 points. So we'll see what happens. But that's how we see things happening this weekend in the big rivalry games. All right, 800-956-7266. A lot of email coming in as well at our email box, talkback@sportstalksc.com. Yarkey with a couple of questions into us. If Morris leaves, I think Brandon Streeter or Billy Napier would be a great replacement.
Yarkey, that's not very nice.
No, I think he's being dead serious.
I think they already tried the Billy Napier route. I don't think they're going to go back to Billy Napier.
He also says, what's a good time to leave for the game? This is my first Clemson, South Carolina game.
Yeah, go ahead and jump in.
Departing from Simpsonville. Yeah. I'd get on the road.
He's in Simpsonville?
No.
Go ahead.
I still say no.
All right. Comments on Chad Morris. This is from Randy, who writes that he can't blame Morris for leaving. He's been trying to leave for several years. Not really. I mean, he got there. What is this? The end of his fourth year?
3. Yeah, fourth year. This is
end of his fourth. So he got there and they took off. So he wasn't trying to leave after his first year, but interest in him started to climb. Now, the last couple of years, he's looked at some opportunities. I don't think he's been trying to leave.
That's what
he's been trying to find the right opportunity.
And what solid coordinator doesn't do that? I mean, that's everywhere. They take a look around. Kirby Smart at Alabama seems to always get mentioned for jobs. That's part of being a very good coordinator. And as a head coach, you want that. That's the good, the bad of it. And now Venables already is being linked to that Texas A&M vacancy, which I don't see. And people reporting that there's already a connection. That's just people connecting dots. There is no way there's already been talks between Brent Venables and Texas A&M at this stage in the game. But the Chad Morris to SMU thing, I don't think it's a done deal, but I do think, back when that job opened up, everybody thought that was going to be a distinct possibility, $3 million.
When you say done deal, I mean, what does done deal mean?
Signed a contract.
That won't happen.
Signed a contract.
That will never happen until you're finished with your current job.
Because I think
he could have a verbal agreement.
Yeah, and I believe
his representative could have hammered out the contract, gotten everything ready to go. Done deal in literal terms, no. Done deal theoretically speaking, and
they've agreed to a deal. There's a
yes.
difference between an agreement and a done deal.
Well,
I mean, they could have agreed and said, you know what? Yeah, I like the terms of that. But we know a lot of things can change after you sleep on something or after word gets out and Clemson comes back and says, how about you're a $2 million a year coordinator? You want to stick it out and see if you can get a bigger job?
I will say this. Here's the key. I think he's had some feelers for big-time jobs and has been left at the altar. His thinking now is I can still get a big-time job. Let me get a kind of a middle-of-the-pack job in my home state where I got a lot of contacts, new program, and then spring from there.
All right, we'll be back with more in a moment. All right, it's gone final. Arizona has defeated Arizona State. They do it by a touchdown, so they win the Pac-12 South. Move on to play in the championship game. Now, we'll have our high school football report coming up for you in the next half hour with David Shelton, brought to you by South Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Just a couple of quick recruiting notes brought to you by South Carolina's Electric Cooperatives, sponsors of the 2014 Touchstone Energy Bowl. Hope to see you there. It's coming up quick, December 13th in Myrtle Beach. And don't forget the naming of Mr. Football as well during halftime of the North-South game. Just a couple of quick notes of interest that I saw in scanning the internet over the last couple of days. Marcus Lewis, the defensive back out of Washington, D.C., who was scheduled to visit Clemson officially this weekend, apparently, according to a report, is not making the visit this weekend. Plans to now make his visit to Clemson on December 13th. This was reported by Corey Fravel of, is that right, Fravel? Corey Fravel from the Clemson 24/7 website. And
I think that website also reported that Sean Watson had a torn ACL.
No, that was the Insiders. Did they do it as well?
24/7 did. And yeah, now the Insiders is reporting that Watson is going to start on Saturday as well. The Clemson Insiders is reporting that, and now that he's listed as probable, it looks like he's going to roll out there and start.
Corey Fravel, that is the name I'm trying to spit out there, reported that. And also, he reported that USC commitment, Mark Fields Jr., defensive back, is going to visit Clemson unofficially on Saturday for the ball game. First time that Fields will be there. And Clemson has offered a defensive back. He tweeted this, Mook Reynolds, out of Greensboro. He is a Virginia Tech commitment. He tweeted out that he's been offered by Clemson. So the Tigers, he's in the 2015 class.
It'd be awesome
so
if one recruit 1 year at South Carolina and Clemson were both down to, just said before the game, whoever wins this game, I'm going to sign with.
Mm-hmm. And it had to be a big time.
Yeah, like a Clowney or Lattimore. Could you imagine a guy doing that and saying, I will sign with whoever wins?
Yeah, yeah. And then he changes his mind and says, just fool.
Never mind. I guess
didn't really mean that.
Clemson lost, but I want to go there.
All right, there you go with a couple of recruiting items for tonight to take you into the weekend. When we come back in the next hour, we'll take more of your phone calls, get more of your picks on the game. You've heard what we think. Now, we all three
think Clemson's going to win. Yeah, that's not a good sign if you're Clemson.
But did we do that on our sheets? Did we all pick Clemson on the sheets?
Yes.
With the points?
Oh, yeah, but I took USC in the points. But I still think Clemson's going to win. But when it comes to winning this competition, I had to weigh in on the points and consider that. So I think it's going to be about a 2 or 3 point game. I'll take USC in the points, but Clemson to win the game. Want to hear what you think in the next hour? And we'll also hear from David Shelton. We'll hear from the two winning coaches from earlier today in the high school championship games. Also going to try and hook up with our buddy Bill Pollock from Missouri Net. He was at the Missouri game this afternoon as they clinched the SEC East with that win over Arkansas. We'll be back.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
All right, we're back. Sports Talk, hour number 2 on the eve of the Palmetto Bowl here in South Carolina. Let's get back to your phone calls. Want to hear from as many of you as we can get to and get your final picks, your last chance to opine about the big showdown. Ronnie in North Augusta, how are you? And welcome into Sports Talk.
Hey, Phil, how y'all doing tonight?
Man, we're doing great. We're pumped up, kicked up, fired up.
I've got at least another 20 hours I can give the Tigers all the hell I want to for them. I'd have to start taking some of it back. But I was going to ask you, Bill, you remember Anthony Waters that played up at Clemson?
Mm-hmm.
Linebacker.
From Lakeview, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lenny, I'll never will forget my buddy and I. We were sitting in the Clemson section up there that day, and he'd been out hurt or something. When he hit the top of the hill, the Clemson people started beating on our back, telling us we could just get up and go home. So if they were doing that for him, I can imagine what it's going to be like when Watson hits the top of the hill up there tomorrow. So I want to ask you a question.
I'll bet
with
you.
This knee being like it is.
Yeah.
Do you think they will take a chance on him running down the hill, or you think they'll just fill the stadium with water and let him walk in on water up there tomorrow?
No.
They might make him an unofficial captain and let him walk out of the locker room. I don't think you risk
down
that.
The hill. If you're going to play in a football game, you can run down a hill.
Why risk it? That's not just a hill, too. You know, it's down, then it flattens out, then it's down again. He could easily trip. Yeah, I agree with you, Ronnie. I don't think that you let him run down the hill.
Well, I think they'll fill the stadium with water and let him walk on water to come in. That'll be a little bit easier on his knee. But I still say Gamecocks 23, Clemson 17.
20. You see the Gamecock defense rising up?
Oh, well, I see Clemson's offense has looked good against a bunch of what everybody forgets is we've already beat 2 teams as good as Clemson, Georgia and East Carolina. Clemson didn't. I'm not even going to waste your time tonight, but they haven't beat one decent. They did Louisville. I'll give them credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only good football team they've beaten. I mean, they're not exactly a juggernaut up there this year either.
I thought Boston College was a pretty good team.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of one-dimensional.
Do you think USC could have beaten Boston College?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we should.
Running quarterback.
Like the games we lost them, we gave them away. I can't say we should have won them, but we gave them away. I mean, Missouri looked pretty doggone good. We played some good football teams. We'll see what's going to happen tomorrow, but I'm not going to give in to them till I have to. Y'all have a good night. Phil.
All right, Ronnie. Thank you. Sleep well, sleep tight, relax, and the good thing is with a 12 o'clock kickoff, you don't have to anticipate for very long.
Yeah.
By the time you wake up tomorrow morning and do what you do in the morning, maybe eat some breakfast, maybe have a stiff drink, maybe go for a jog, maybe get in a round of golf. Before you know it, kickoff time.
Get in a round of golf?
This entire state.
Tee off at 5?
Really?
Yeah, if you get early tea time, this entire state will be glued into the television sets. Back in a moment. We haven't mentioned there's basketball action at Clemson tonight. The Tigers are playing High Point. They're just underway. Clemson is leading 9-3. Dante Grantham has 7 of the Tigers' 9 points. 9-3 Clemson over High Point. About 6 minutes in to that game up at Little John Coliseum. Let's turn our attention to high school football. Big day in Columbia for state championships. Our report brought to you by South Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. We welcome in C.R. Cumbie from the High School Sports Report, who is over at River Bluff High School, and he is there watching the second game of the day. This one is pitting Keenan High School from here in Columbia up against Timberland, and it's Timberland up 21-6 at halftime. CR, how you doing, man?
Hey, pretty good, Phil. How are you?
We're doing fine, doing fine. So Timberland got off to the quick start. How did they get rolling, and what's happened since that quick start?
The second play from scrimmage, Keenan's running back Tyreek Davis Newton fumbled, and Josh Austin Timberland scooped it up, went 41 yards the other way for the touchdown, and put Timberland up 7-0 early. Keenan's next possession, they had to punt, and once again, the man of the hour, Josh Austin, broke through the middle of the line, blocked the punt, and recovered it. From there, Timberland needed 5 plays to go 35 yards. Darrell Presley finished the drive with a 10-yard run, and Timberland was up 14-0 at the end of the first quarter. Second quarter, Timberland went up 21-0 on a 44-yard drive. Big play was Ryan Hood, 40-yard pass to Daniel Robinson. It looked like Timberland was really going to just pull away. The defense was really strong. But Keenan, a little bit of desperation for them. They faked a punt on 4th and 25 at their own 14-yard line. Picked up, I think, 29 on the play. And the ensuing play, DeMarco Ziegler completed a 57-yard pass to Kendrick Gathers. The PAT failed, left it at 21-6. The rest of the second quarter, kind of a penalty fest out there. Both teams committing all kind of infractions. Nobody really able to do much after that. But at halftime here, we've got 21-6 Timberland, and they will get the ball to start the second half.
All right, CR, thank you, man. We'll catch back up with you later in the program.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you. CR Cumbie from over at River Bluff High School, where they're holding the 2A championships today. The 1A games were played, or the 1A game was played at Benedict. By the way, that first game in 2A Division I, as we reported earlier, Dillon, a winner over Newberry, 49-27, 3 straight state championships for Dillon. The game over at Benedict, the 1A Division II championship game, Lakeview and Hunter Connor Tyler. David Shelton of the High School Sports Report and the Post and Courier was there for that, and he joins us now. Another high-scoring affair, David. But HKT, for the second straight year, they win it 42-28.
Yeah, the Trojans looked every bit the defending state champions, and most of the guys that performed for them today were guys that were on the team last year that were big performers. Jarius Jenkins, 137 yards, couple touchdowns, and Khalik Anthony, the quarterback, threw a long touchdown pass. Darius Hammonds, a junior, I tell you, I don't know what to call him. He's an athlete. He lines up at receiver and gets balls in, the sweeps. And they threw a long touchdown pass to him. He returned the kickoff, 89 yards for a touchdown. And, Lakeview outgained them, they ran almost 20 more plays. They had time of possession, was incredible in their edge, but they didn't score enough. And the big play of the game came early. They held Hunter Kennard Tyler and made him punt. And the punt was down to the 3-yard line. And on the second play coming out, they fumbled on the 5, and HKT scored, and then scored again on their next possession on the first play. So it was 14-0. And, Lakeview in a wishbone offense, that's hard to come back from. And they don't throw the ball particularly well. That's not their strength. I think they had 400 yards passing in 14 games this year. So once they got behind 2 scores, they could score. They cut it 20-14 and then kicked off, and Hammonds ran it back, and it just stayed. They never could get it tied. And Lakeview played well. A couple of fumbles hurt them, but HKT I thought was the better team all around.
Yeah, you mentioned the time of possession. Lakeview had the ball for 31 minutes. They also converted third and fourth down 8 times out of 16 attempts. So they were ball hogging. Did they just bog down when they got into the red zone?
Well, they scored, several times. I mean, they scored 4 touchdowns, but only on a couple of drives. The first drive where they fumbled on their own 5, and then they got stopped in the fourth quarter. They had the ball back at their 20 or so and couldn't get it out of there and had to punt. And HKT with a touchdown lead and the ball Jenkins just kind of shoved it down their throat, and they scored. So I mean, they had an opportunity down 1 score and the ball, but with that offense, you 3rd and 18, and that's what happened. They got a sack. You get 3rd and 18 in that offense, they just don't have that play in their book, and they had to punt, and they thought obviously they could hold them and get the ball back one more time. But as I said, Jenkins and Anthony, the 2 senior leaders on that offense for HKT, just kind of put the game away.
Well, now at the first game that I was at, Dillon and Newberry, huge crowd. I mean, I think if everybody had gone in to take a seat, it would have been absolute capacity, right around 7,500, 8,000. What about for your game over at Benedict?
Good crowd. I don't know the numbers. I would guess a couple thousand. HK showed up. I didn't know there were that many people in Hunnard, Kynard, and Tyler, but or wherever that Norway, I guess, is where they're from.
Yeah.
But it was a really good crowd. Obviously, they got a lot of support. I was very impressed with their showing. Lakeview obviously traveled very well. It's a smaller community, and I think Dillon playing at the same time may have hurt Lakeview's crowd, because had they been playing at the same place or a bigger spread, a lot of those Dillon people would have come to watch Lakeview. But it was a good Class A crowd. I mean, somebody made the comment after seeing a picture on Twitter that they probably should have played the 1A over at River Bluff and the 2A over at Benedict. And I asked Jerome Singleton that, and he said 2A voted to play their games at River Bluff. This was not a high school league decision.
Right.
2A as a classification voted, and that's why they played it there.
Yeah, people don't understand. They think everything comes out of the Columbia office, but the conferences, they make these decisions about playoffs and about locations more or less themselves. All right, let's jump to the games tonight and get your picks. Here we go. In the 3A battles tonight, South Point and AC Flora. Who do you like?
Well, this one's a tough one because I think AC Flora is having one of those dream magical seasons, but South Point, to me, has just got guys that have been there, done that. I just, for some reason, I'm picking South Point, and I'm not clear why, but that's who I'm picking.
Backyard brawl in the lower state, Marlboro County and Hartsville.
These 2 teams, a lot of people came out on Twitter, earlier in the week saying Hartsville's going to roll, and then I had to remind people that this game, when they played in the regular season, Marlboro County led this game in the 3rd quarter and couldn't hold off Hartsville. Now, having said that, and I think Marlboro County's playing absolutely their best football, I think winning in Kellytown is going to be very tough to do, and Hartsville's been the best team in 3A, in my opinion, all year, so I'm going to pick Hartsville.
All right, let's go to 4A Division 2, and we've got York going to Greenwood.
Yeah, a little Greenwood defense against the York offense that can score a lot of points. Again, I think Greenwood is just being at home. I think York can score. I don't know if they can. They're going to have to play really good defense tonight, and I'm going to pick Greenwood in a real close game.
All right, and the other bracket, Spartanburg going to South Florence.
Yeah, I look for some scoring in this one. I think these are 2 dynamic offenses that both can run and throw the ball equally well. South Florence is at home, but Spartanburg, to me, is just the better team all around, and I think they're going to win a close one.
All right, David, hang on. When we come back from the break, we'll get your pick for the 2 big games in the biggest division, 4A Division 1. Of course, they're excellent matchups, and we'll get your thoughts on those games in just a moment. We're also going to hear from the 2 winning coaches earlier today. That's coming up here on Sports Talk. Hey, don't forget, coming up on December 13th in Myrtle Beach at Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium, it's the South Carolina Electric Cooperative's 2014 Touchstone Energy Bowl. Hope to see you there to see some of the best high school football players in the state go head-to-head. Again, that's coming up December 13th at Myrtle Beach. As a bonus, you can be there to watch the crowning of Mr. Football 2014. As we go back to David Shelton, who do you think gets to be Mr. Football this year? Who's your choice?
My pick would be Dupree Hart from Northwestern if I had a vote, which I don't. And I wrote a little column on this about a month ago that I just felt like he's not only the most exciting football player in South Carolina, I think he did the most for his team. You think about they were 0-2, and he was the state's leading all-time receiver and made the move to quarterback, unselfish move, ended up taking them into the playoffs last week, had over 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards passing, 50 touchdowns. I mean, maybe, and he's going to play college baseball at the College of Charleston. But to me, I think he's the most exciting high school football player that I've seen in a couple of years.
Well, right now, according to the votes on the website with the it's actually scliving.coop/Mr. Football. You can vote there just to have your opinion heard. And right now, Kelly Bryant has 47% of the vote, and Dupree Hart has about a little over 37% of the vote. So they're the two dominant vote receivers, with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Zach Bailey, and Matthew Colburn, the other gentleman on the finalist list.
Yeah, Kelly would be my second choice. And if I had to rank 1 through 5, I would say that he's number 2. And then I like Colburn as number 3 just because of what he's done over the last 2 years at Dutch Fork.
All right, let's go to the 4A Division I games tonight. First of all, the game you're headed to, Hillcrest crossing the state to go down to Fort Dorchester.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting game because Fort has a very good defensive front. They get a lot of tackles for loss, a lot of sacks. Hillcrest will spread the ball around, throw it around a bunch. They've got 2 receivers over 1,000 yards. Fort secondary has been susceptible. Ashley Ridge beat them at the end of the year and threw the ball on them pretty. This is a different kind of offense that Hillcrest runs, but if Colin Sneed, the quarterback at Hillcrest, gets time to throw, and he's going to pick them apart. But now, if that defense at Fort D can play as they normally do, with really good people up front, good linebackers, very physical defense, I think they've got a shot. The key will be how much Fort Dorchester can score, because they don't have an explosive, dynamic offense, but against Gaffney, they were 3-3 at the half and ended up scoring 37 points. And last week against Somerville, they had 10 at the half and scored 34 points. Now, defense scored a couple times. So if all that factors in, I like Fort. But if I'm had to make a pick, I would take Hillcrest in I guess you'd call it a slight upset because of it being on the road and Fort being the number 1 seed.
All right, in 20 seconds, give me your pick, Dutch Fork and Burns.
Boy, I tell you, that's going to be a good one. A lot of people think that's going to be a 49-48. I tend to think it's going to be a 24-21 type game. I think both defenses are better than people give them credit for. Dutch Fork has the edge in the kicking game. Great field goal kicker with Tyler Bass. He could be the difference. I'll take Dutch Fork.
Taking Dutch Fork at home. Okay, David. Thank you, man. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week. Back in a moment. All right, let's update the Clemson basketball game at Little John. 21-13 Tigers, who've missed their last 4 shots, 4:33 to go. It's Noko with 8 and 8. He's got 8 and 8 already. Grantham has 7 for the Tigers. They're pretty much the only ones who have scored for Clemson, which is shooting 38% to High Point's 33%. Tigers have hit 3 threes. There has not been a free throw taken in the game thus far. All right, let's welcome in the other half of the M&M boys. We had the one half on Wednesday night. That was Corey Miller, and we had a little snafu with Will Merritt because his phone was one place and he was another. So we missed him on Wednesday, but he's been gracious enough to join us here tonight. First of all, happy Thanksgiving to you, belated as it is. Number 2, I hear Ron Cherry is going to be the referee in tomorrow's game. How does that make you feel?
Well, my Thanksgiving was great until you told me that.
I just made that up. I don't know if that's true or not.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I've taken all the digs against Ron Cherry. I'm going to take in a lifetime, so I'm good with that. But Thanksgiving was great on our end. Just stuffed myself and ate myself into a food coma. And, I'm hoping that you guys had an amazing day as well.
Well, we did. And
I bet you didn't have any cherry pie, though.
No cherry pie. No. That's off your diet, isn't it?
I know people that will not eat the fruit because of Ron Cherry.
Now, before we get to your analysis, what are you doing? Steak Man was telling me you're doing some special stuff around the game.
Yeah, man. Tomorrow's going to be a really exciting day. I've been actually shooting a TV show with Edwin McCain for the last 23 straight days, off and on. And tomorrow is the finale scene. So we actually will be in Clemson at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning and shoot the final scene, and pretty stoked about it. And I will pass along as soon as they give me the green light of when the show is going to air. But Edwin has been picked up with his own reality show, and it starts next April. And so we are finishing up episode number 1 right now, so it's been really neat.
Is it all football? Is it a football related thing what you're involved with?
It's not. It's not football related at all.
Oh, okay.
No, it just happens to have a very football thematic component in this episode number 1, and we were able to work it out through through the networks and through Clemson to be able to utilize the stadium. And so we're going to do that tomorrow morning, and then we're done filming at 11:30, and I'll plan on being at the game and enjoying it. And hopefully by 4 o'clock, Clemson has righted the ship that has been, I guess,
upside
very
down,
much sinking over the last 5 years.
All right, now listen, on Wednesday night, Corey, for all his belly aching all season long and complaining and bitching and moaning about various aspects of the Gamecocks, he picks them to win.
Which he's great at, which we all know he is really good at.
But he picks the Gamecocks to win. So what do you think? You're obviously going to pick the Tigers. Tell us why you think, and especially now with the news that I guess we could say Deshaun Watson's been upgraded to probable.
Yeah, and, that's been something we've kept our eye on, since you and I talked last week. And to me, that was number 1 component. I still want to hesitate away from always saying one player dictates an entire ball game, because that really cheapens a lot of other guys and their hard work. But it's hard for me to get away from that in this ball game. And I don't like doing that, because I think Clemson is boasting one of the better defenses that we've seen in a very, very long time. And I think that's ultimately what's going to allow them to stay in this ball game. But number 2, Deshaun Watson is he's that guy we talked about last Wednesday. He's a difference maker. He just is. He's a program changer. And so if he can go and he's truly healthy, I think the offense will click enough to put points on the board. And I think South Carolina's going to have a harder time this year scoring against Clemson defense than they have in a long time. This is a pretty relentless defense. And if we don't turn the ball over and give South Carolina, very short fields all night long, which we have had a propensity to do over the last 6-7 games, we've just been able to squeak out against some inferior talent all over. I think at home, this will be the year that Clemson kind of gets back in the win column.
Will, because Clemson the last few years have done things out of character from what they've done during the rest of the season pressing against South Carolina. In your experience as a player, do you have coaches on the sideline, and I'm not saying this facetiously, but practicing relaxing techniques about just think and execute and not worry about being, making the super play?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that, you can only go so far when you're playing in this ball game. You don't really stay relaxed in the Clemson-Carolina game. I mean, it's not like they have a Tempur-Pedic mattress on the sideline for you to go over and just get you a quick nap in. I think that for so long, especially when I played, we obviously had the upper hand for the majority of my time. I only lost to South Carolina once in my career, so I didn't really experience feeling the pressure that they feel. I didn't have that component. I did feel the pressure being a guy that grew up in the Palmetto State and having friends that were playing for South Carolina. And, I'm married a girl that was born and raised a Gamecock fan, so I had the in-law pressure. I mean, I had certain pressures that I put on myself for this game. But the pressure that they feel now is, are they really going to be the class that takes a losing record and a losing streak to a whole new level? I mean, 0-5-1 is the largest deficit ever, winless streak, and this would go to 0-6 if this class loses. So to answer your question, yeah, I mean, try anything. I mean, have guys over Woosine and reading them Bible verses for all I care on the sideline. If that's going to relax them, it doesn't matter to me. Whatever has happened in the last 5 years hasn't worked. So I would say that there will be coaches that will try to stay very, very calm going into this game and not feel like that they are having the immense amount of pressure to win it. Now, we know there's some distractions this week, too, with the Coach Morris talk and the Venables talks and the Deshaun talks and all that kind of stuff. There's always going to be some distractions. But I think as far as the game goes, if Clemson's defense play their best, this will be a tough game for South Carolina to win. If they do exactly what you just said and uncharacteristically go out there and give up big plays, the same script will be written all over.
Well, you mentioned those distractions, and us guys in the media and fans, they always harp on those things. But as a player inside the locker room, how much are those really an issue, especially this Morris deal? I mean, it's going to have an impact if he leaves long term, obviously, but in the short term tomorrow, what kind of impact is that going to have on the players?
Honestly, as a player, I say none. And I know that people want to say, well, it has to have some distraction. Deshaun doesn't know if he's going to be at the same coordinator. What about these running backs that have just come in? Or what about this Tyshawn Dye? Is he going to be mad because Coach Morris leaves? Yeah, those are all great stories that I think we can talk about in December. But as far as tomorrow is concerned, Coach Morris is going to coach his guts off. He's going to make the very best call he can make with the very best 11 that he's going to put out there on offense. And these players are going to strain and they're going to play as hard as they can. So, in my opinion, I just don't make a whole lot about it. I don't think that a Chad Morris discussion at SMU is going to dictate whether or not Clemson wins or loses.
Mm-hmm. Discussion. You're not ready to say that it's absolute that he's taking the job at SMU?
I can't. I mean, I can only go by what I was told, and I was in Clemson today earlier and talked to some guys, and obviously everybody's kind of leaning towards as soon as the season's over, then we're going to have the open dialogue about it. But I can't go on record and say, yes, I know it's a done deal. I would simply say it just seems like that's where everything is headed.
Will, we appreciate it very much as always, and we will hook you up along with Corey next Wednesday night to put a wrap on things, and we thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Hey, anytime. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Y'all have fun tomorrow.
You too, man. Thank you, and look forward to your TV show. Will Merritt's. I kind of hope Ron Cherry's calling that game tomorrow, just so Will will be fuming when he walks into the stadium.
It's kind of funny. We all laughed, I think, what was it, 3 or 4 years ago?
How about
it was
Ron?
The national championship game, and Ron Cherry was the official.
How about Ron Cherry and Mike Washington calling the game tomorrow? I think they should put those two together.
A lot of
just
heads
for
exploding.
Memory's sake. We'll be back in a moment.
Yeah, wonderful win for our guys. I just started thinking
I thought our guys fought hard. Thought they fought really hard. First half, we were obviously very disappointed. They were.
What a tremendous effort. Can't say enough about Avery.
All right, let's get to the rivalry rewind here on Sports Talk. We're up to last year where South Carolina made it 5 in a row over the Tigers. And what did Steve Spurrier think of that?
Yeah, wonderful win for our guys. I just started thinking, amazingly, when we play these guys from Clemson, the script follows the same thing. 31-17, they had, 57 plays. We had about 78. Somehow or another, we made a bunch of third downs, early and late. Didn't make much in between. We really got stymied trying to run the ball. But fortunately, the quarterback draw got us out of a jam. And, I guess when the game was tied there in the fourth, and we made about 11 yards on 3rd and 12, and then we got them offside on the 4th down was a big play in the game. But our defense, again, was very good. And I guess we got a couple of turnovers. Special teams, they dropped 2 punts, was it? Like that. But anyways, wonderful win for us. We're happy. We were very fortunate. We know that. They're a good team that continues not playing very well when they play us for some reason. All right, any questions? Connor Shaw, oh, man, best quarterback in school history. He's probably the difference maker completely for us. Running the ball, throwing the ball. He had a sensational game tonight.
All right, will Clemson continue to hurt itself? Dabo Swinney obviously disappointed after last year's loss.
Guys fought hard. Thought they fought really hard. First half, they were obviously very disappointed. They were 8 of 11 on 3rd down. We had a couple turnovers in the first half, and they kept the ball 20 minutes to our 10 as a result. But, it was a 1-score game at the half, and we come back. I thought we played much better in the 3rd quarter, kind of got the momentum back. 17-17 in the 4th quarter. We got a chance to win the game. And some critical mistakes. We go and get the score. We got momentum at 17-all. It's 3rd and 14. And, quarterback draw for 13 yards, and it's 4th and 1. And it's hard. We really fought hard, but we didn't play smart. And, 4th and 1, we're coming off a timeout, and they're way back on their side of the field, and we jump offside.
All right, Dabo Swinney recounting the mistakes that cost his team last season. Now back to high school, where it is Timberland continuing to lead Keenan 28-6. They're in the 3rd quarter in that championship game. Dillon won its 3rd straight championship today with a win over at River Bluff High School. It was Dillon taking down Newberry. Here is Coach Jackie Hayes of Dillon praising his team's effort.
What a tremendous effort. Can't say enough about Avery McCall. The whole offensive line, we just played extremely well on offense today, and we need to do it. Newberry never quit. Seemed like every time we get up, they'd make a big play. That's the character of a championship team. My hat's off to them. I thought they played extremely hard. I'm just so proud of my football team right now. I don't know what to say.
Turning point in the game, fumble you think?
Well, I think the fumble covered Randall Davis, a big hit down there by looked like Zach Wilson, 100-yard return for a touchdown. kind of put it a 3-score game, and it stayed that way the whole time. And, it was back and forth, but just happy for our players and our coaches.
Coach, what does it mean to win 3 in a row, 5 out of the last 6?
Well, it means a lot. It says a lot about our yes, it sounds a lot. It says a lot about our community and our commitment to our football program.
All right, thanks, Coach.
When they returned that kickoff, Jackie, make it 7-0 right out of the gate. Did you what'd you think at that point? Did you think, boy, this could be a tough one?
I thought about the 99 game when Roscoe Crosby took one back in 99. I said, God, deja vu. But I really believe it got our players in the game and got us. I think I was a big turning point. Thank you.
Is it kind of scary to think of what this team may be next year with 19 guys back after an undefeated season?
Well, it's all about the program. Tremendous effort by our guys, and can't be happy enough for them.
You seem a little more emotional about this one maybe than some of the others. Particular reason?
People don't know how hard it is to do what we did. Got a guy been working there at Dillon High School for 46 years, and he came in and told me on Wednesday that this was the last one. But nobody deserves it.
Is that Coach Reeves?
Coach Reeves. Nobody deserves it more than him.
Nothing gets next to me more than a football coach in tears. And I say that with all due respect.
Corn's crying right now. I don't know if you guys can see it on
that. Was tough. Jackie he was taking the win hard.
You ever seen
because I think a guy he's very close to is leaving the staff.
Yeah, you ever seen the coach to cry while doing practice when the guys just don't get it?
I've seen that, but these were kind of a combination of tears of joy and sadness, I think, over his good friend leaving the staff.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
Unbelievable. I really don't have words to describe it. I knew we could win this thing. I knew we could if we
All right, the other state champion crowned so far today, Hunter Conard Tyler, 42-28 over Lakeview, back-to-back championships for Dan Holland and the Trojans of AKT. He talks about it after the game.
Unbelievable. I really don't have words to describe it. I knew we could win this thing. I knew we could if we stayed healthy all year long. And, the kids had a great summer in the weight room, and that's what keeps you healthy. throughout the year. So we're very pleased we're not giving it back, that's for sure.
Dan, you know, the way this game started, you punted to them, they backed them up, they fumbled. They never really could recover from that fumble. I mean, how big a momentum switch was that early?
It was, and we talked about this week, you know, we talked about whatever happens early, don't let it phase you, whether it's good or bad, because it's a 4-quarter game. And, you know, I don't know if it was nerves on their part or what, you know, but, you know, kids jumped on it when they needed to and got those 2 touchdowns early and then with that 2-point conversion. And, I mean, that's tough to come back from, especially if you keep a wishbone team, you know, down like that, you know, it limits what they can do. But give Lakeview credit. I mean, they were tough, and, I mean, they did exactly what I thought they would do. You know, they kept the ball from us some, had some long drives, and they had some very physical runs, and, you know, credit to them for that.
When you look at the stat sheet after the game later, you're going to freak out because they had the ball way longer than you did. They ran a lot more plays. But, you know, the game's not played on paper. It's you just hit the big plays when you had to have them.
It's not, and we're a hurry-up, no-huddle team, so time of possession doesn't really mean a whole lot to us. But, you know, I anticipated coming in they were going to keep the ball from us. So, you know, our kids were prepared for it. I mean, we knew when we had the ball, we knew we had to score.
You didn't overuse Jenkins too much in the game, but obviously when you had to milk the clock there, it was feeding.
Exactly. And you know, he plays a lot of defense, and he plays a lot of very good defense. And I think he is a definite college prospect on the defensive side of the ball, you know, as well as a running back. But we took what they were giving us, and the game plan all week was to get the ball out wide to our guys, and we practiced all week long, and we executed it pretty well tonight.
And Hammonds was, I mean, he player of the game, I guess.
Darius Hammonds makes plays all over the place. It don't matter if he's on the field. You better look out for something good. Probably gonna happen.
All right, congratulations to HKT and to Dillon, and Timberland continues to lead in its game 28-6. The last update we had as far as the score goes, that was in the 3rd quarter. South Point and AC Flora 7-6, could be 7-7. An extra point was pending from AC Flora after a 70-yard kickoff return by Denzel Johnson for a touchdown. So I'm not sure if it's 7-6, 7-7. Dutch Fork out in front of Burns early, 7-0. Oh, Clemson basketball halftime. Tigers up on High Point 26-16, holding High Point to 26%. NOCO with 8, Grantham with 7. Final thoughts, guys?
It's going to be a good game. I think the only advantage South Carolina has, you talk about them, Clemson being at home, it's the noon kickoff.
Streak ends tomorrow.
We shall see. It's anybody's guess. Have a great day tomorrow. Look forward to being with you right here on Sports Talk Monday night. Thank you, Steak Man. Good night, everybody.